we look at the asset itself and the assets that we're looking at that are in distressed conditions, saying, what is our spin on this one? Like, what do we do? What can we do with our system, with our teams, how we've done it before that we can add the value? Because sometimes everybody has a different recipe that they use and different ways of going about it. We try to focus on efficiency and we try to focus on value. We try to focus on presentation.
Welcome to the Threefold Real Estate Investing Podcast. This is the podcast where you'll not only learn how you can achieve massive success in multifamily real estate investing, but also how you can simultaneously pursue great relationships with your family and a better walk with God. You can achieve financial freedom through real estate investing without sacrificing the relationships that mean the most to you. Now, here's your host, Leigh Yoder.
Welcome back, Threefold listeners. I hope you're having a great week this week. We've got two great guests for you today. Victor and Leigh Leite are the founders of 25/8 Capital, coming to us from Virginia Beach, Virginia. That's a real estate investment company that they've started. They focus on multifamily syndications just like we do. Got their start in single family space, developed a consistent real estate investment track record with over 200 single family BRRRRs. And fix and flips projects, building a sizable single-family rental portfolio. They've now successfully transitioned their skills toward the multifamily space, acquiring and managing over $30 million worth of multifamily assets as general partners and operators. They both attended George Washington University School of Medicine, been practicing clinicians for the past 13 years, but through real estate, they've been able to generate passive income to leave their full-time W-2 jobs of medicine. So now they enjoy spending their time raising their two kids, and they have a passion for helping other business professionals attain the same level of freedom in their own lives. It's awesome. Victor and Leigh, welcome to the show today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Leigh. We're happy and blessed to be here with you, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Leigh. Can you tell us a little bit more? Give a little bit more color of, hey, you're practicing medicine. By most standards, by a lot of people, in America, and I guess around the world, that's ideal. So that should be the end goal. Why have you thrown all that away and gone into real estate? But just, I did the same thing. So that's why I'm saying that, but wasn't a doctor. Well, I guess technically I was a doctor of physical therapy, but not a real doctor like you guys.
Of course.
So yeah, just tell me how did you get the real estate bug? What did that all look like? Provide a little color for us.
Yeah, so Victor and I have been practicing medicine for about 13 years, and we actually met way back in school. Mm-hmm. And we, like most other healthcare professionals, we graduated with a mountain of school loans. Yeah. So we made this massive action plan to pay them off. And so we ended up just working a lot. We worked 80 to 100-hour work weeks, two jobs at a time, nights, weekends, holidays, and we achieved that goal. We paid off those loans in a three-year period. Wow.
That's impressive.
And thank you. And through that process, we burnt ourselves out.
You worked 10 years in 3 years.
Yes. Yeah. So we decided to hit that reset button, and we took an entire year off to go traveling around the world. And we took a sabbatical, we took 2 backpacks, and we went traveling. Through that experience, we really got to think about what we wanted out of life. Yep. And what we realized was we wanted our time freedom back. Mm-hmm. We loved medicine. We loved giving back to others, but we really wanted time to focus on our health, our family, our loved ones, our hobbies. So when we got back, we returned to practicing medicine, but we started down that path towards financial freedom. And we did that through real estate. We started out with fix and flips that quickly grew into a really big business. We built a pretty sizable single-family home rental portfolio, and we were able to generate enough passive income to leave our W-2 jobs. We ended up transitioning those skills into the multifamily space, and right now we're working on multifamily syndications, with that goal of making real estate investing more accessible to others so that other people can kind of reach that same level of freedom in their own lives.
That's awesome. The first thing I was going to mention, guys, when you took that sabbatical, now it was an entire year, but my wife and I take a weekend, and it's really just 24 hours. We've got kids, so you can only get people to watch your kids for so long. So But even just that reset, and doing it annually, what you said there, Leigh, is like, when you're working full time and you're just, keeping your head above water, again, especially if you have young kids and whatnot, you're busy. You just don't get the time to really take a step back and say, like, what do I want to get out of life? But what do I want to get out of my job? Why do I go to work? Why do I do those things? And if you never take the opportunity to step back and think about that, 10 years can go by and you can be pretty unhappy and pretty unfulfilled with where you've gone. So I'm so glad you guys were able to do that. And again, I would suggest, if you can't take a year, if you don't work 80 to 20 hours a week like you guys did to earn that, man, take a weekend, take some time and step back and just think about it. So you jump into the single family. So just real quick, the portfolio you built there, did you guys have partners in that, or were you running that yourself? That sounds like a lot if you're still working. And the single family space, and especially the flip space, that's another job. So
Right, yeah, it is, and to be honest with you, we kind of started at a slow kind of pace in the beginning, kind of looking for some side gigs and extra income, but then that slowly snowballed into a higher volume case where then we started developing our team around us to support us in our systems of belief. And then when we started developing, obviously, the larger portfolio, then we included, obviously, a larger management company that comes in, was able to handle that for us while we're practicing medicine. And it just kind of just all worked together in symbiosis.
You bring in some help, you got a team going. Why the pivot then? What caused you to want to make that pivot toward multifamily?
Really economy of scale. So we just wanted to keep growing and keep doing things. And it's easier to buy 100 doors at once rather than buying 100 separate single family homes. So we just really enjoyed making that leap into multifamily.
What I know you guys have said that you gained from the flip business and having single family rentals is those you were kind of working those value add muscles. And what I mean by that is, like, you learn the art of improving a property, maybe buying that ugly duckling and turning it into something that someone would really like to rent and somewhere where somebody would really like to live. And it sounds like you guys have really taken those skills, that process, that experience, and taken it into multifamily. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And, in what we started with and what we did in developing our systems, developing our teams, understanding, how to have a successful, business plan, renovation plan, rental plan, a BRRRR plan, all of that together. It takes time. You're developing your own kind of general roadmap and plan for what works, what doesn't work. And, honestly, a lot of people are not interested in buying distressed properties and transforming them to where they are, right? But we found that it was a niche for us that we had, great success in, especially with our systems, our multitasking capabilities and the teams we build around us. We're not only changing properties, but we're changing communities, man. We're changing communities and turning them over and transforming the flavor and the vibe of it, and it's just kind of like, it's a best of both worlds. Everybody wins in it. And so that's kind of where we took our single family experience and we just kind of just transitioned over. It's kind of rinse and repeat for us from that standpoint. And just we're able to kind of do the similar things. And everybody likes to have a beautiful place and a place that they're proud to live in. And that's what we provide. I provide our tenants.
So I can see where it kind of translates pretty easily to when you think about a unit, like, hey, this is just a tiny little house. And instead of doing one at a time and they're spread out all over the city, we've got, 60 right here. But there's also a lot of differences. So can you talk a little bit about that transition? Lending is very different, right? And there's more zeros. So now maybe you're raising a lot more money. So now are you bringing in other investors? And now the bank looks at you differently. It's not about you guys and your income. It's about the property and the property's income and the debt service coverage ratio that property as a business can cover. And then it's a different property management company. There's some differences. So tell us a little bit about some of that, of how you kind of overcame that and got used to, doing multifamily instead of single family all over.
Yes, you definitely pointed out some of our biggest hurdles with our transition into multifamily. When we were doing a lot of BRRRRs and fix and flips, we were primarily dealing with cash, which made transactions very easy. You take a distressed single family home without, electrical or ductwork, a bank isn't going to give you money for that. So just purchasing that in cash is much easier. So same with multifamily. So if you take a distressed asset with 50% occupancy and major renovations needed, you're not going to get traditional lending. Fannie and Freddie don't want to lend to that. So you have to get a little bit more creative. So what we have done with some of our recent acquisitions was going through bridge debt. What bridge debt allows you to do is buy the property with the loan, fund the renovations, complete your business plan, and then refinance out. So that was, I think, one of the biggest hurdles of just obtaining, those initial $10 million loans. That was a bigger number for us. So
yeah. And the banks, obviously, chiming off of that, the banks, they want to see track record. They want to see that this operator sponsored got a track record and got a resume and has a good product that they put out there on a regular basis. And they, obviously with the lenders, they want to make sure and they get send for inspections on a regular basis and see that things are getting done the way we say it done, not just physically, but also on the operation side of things, right? Vacancies, delinquencies, things that eat up the general gross revenues. And so that transformation, when we talk about it, it's complete, the whole entire thing, whether we're changing over communities from the physical aspect of the building, but also, bringing in higher quality, better qualified tenants, and increasing the general overall revenue for that property. And so when we speak with our lending partners, that's what they generally ask of us, and that's what we provide.
I think we really had an advantage with the renovations with these distressed assets because we really understood what we were dealing with. You can easily listen to a broker trying to sell you something saying, oh, it's going to take $5,000 a unit to repair this. And we can easily say, no, that's going to take $25,000. And we were able to nail down that budget, nail down that timeline, and just kind of roll through the project. So that experience really made these projects a lot more streamlined for us.
And then everybody's been surprised to the upside with costs for renovations, right? This past year or two. But that is almost always the case. Brokers always come in. I see that all the time. But it does depend what you want to do. Like what you guys are saying is we're transforming the property. We're changing the tenant base. That's a totally different thing than, hey, when somebody moves out, we're gonna clean the carpets and freshen the paint and make it nice enough. But you're just swapping out tenants and making it, nice enough. You guys are doing something different. And when you talk about the bridge loans, what you're saying, they're kind of lending on that future value. So they want to come out and make sure you're increasing the future value, right? So you talk about bridge debt. That's kind of almost become a bad word, I feel like, or something that people are scared of, right? So can we dig in on that a little bit? What was your experience? I mean, one thing I would say, I know I haven't done it yet. I know one thing I've been coached on is like where people get in trouble is they get bridge debt and it's like, oh, we're going to increase the value, but they were just planning on raising rents. And that's not a true value add project. Like you guys are talking about 50% vacancy. That's a true, that's a distressed property. That's not even just like, a simple value add, where we've done some where, hey, they're 90-95%, but rents are $300 under, and we're doing like you guys, we're putting 15 grand in each unit. That's still value add. You guys are doing some deep value add. So that, from what I understand, that's what bridge debt, is really for, is when you are seriously increasing value. But what's been your experience with that? I know one thing that's been thrown out is these, the rates are typically variable. So have you guys got caught up in that? Maybe just provide a little more color on the bridge debt for us.
You're right. Bridge debt was really, really popular a couple of years ago. And suddenly it really does kind of have a bad flavor to it these days. And that's because of this changing environment, because we have those increasing interest rates. We have likely higher exit caps, which will impact that future refinance when you stabilize that property. Right. So in this environment, it makes bridge debt more risky. I think that when we are, like you said, actually adding value to the property and not just relying on rent growth, then it is much less of a risk because you control the way your property operates. You control the NOI that way. And the ways to offset that risk are to underwrite for higher exit caps and to also consider purchasing interest rate caps. So even if your interest rate is variable, it can only go up so much.
Right. So if you come in and the initial interest rate you got on your bridge debt is 4%, and you buy an interest rate cap that would cap it at 5, even if rates go to 6, you're only going up to 5. So you kind of know your worst case scenario. But on the front end, you had to pay $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in order to cap it at 5%. Is that in general how that goes?
couple 100,000, but yeah.
Right.
Okay.
If it
Depending
makes
on the
sense
loan
to buy
size,
the
though.
caps,
Yeah.
if it makes sense to buy the caps, and that's kind of like an insurance policy, which
Yep.
right now at this time, if you know what's going on with CMBS and bridge debt, a lot of people did not buy that insurance. And so they're bleeding out consistently in these larger markets where they assumed and they underwrote for, rent growth of 8%, 10% regularly, but now that's going to be compressed down because the market is changing, it's forced to change. So, it just depends on the business plans you had in mind. And we look at it from more of a conservative underwriting model. And when we look at it, we don't underwrite so aggressively as others, but we really try to know that, we're actually adding the value to the properties. We're just not taking a momentum play and just riding this wave that we had for, cap rate compressions. Now the true cream will rise to the top in regards to this value add systems, and a lot of people who didn't look at it conservatively or didn't get those caps in place are now in a little bit of hot water.
Yeah. The true value add means increasing occupancy, means raising rent. And I think what always gives us, a sense of comfort or feeling like we're underwriting conservatively is saying, well, this is a value add project. So if market rent today is 1,000, but the average rent is 700, then our goal really is just 3 years from now for the average rent to be 1,000. So we're really not saying market rent's going to grow, because market rent can stay at 1,000. We're just, over the 3 years, we're just going to try to get people there. What you guys are saying is, you come in, hey, rent's 950, market's 1,000, but 3 years from now it's going to be 1,200. That's a completely different idea, right? It's not real. And it may be 1,200. I mean, if you did that for the past 3-4 years, you've probably still underestimated the rent growth, but man, that's not all the time. So yeah, I love that. When you buy a 50% occupied property, that's something, like you guys said, you can control. If you get the other units right, like they're probably not rented because they're not ready, right? I mean, we've gotten properties like that. They have 10% vacancy because 10% of the units aren't even ready to be rented. That's easy, not easy. I mean, you got to do the work, but that's conservative value add. It would be hard to not be able to add that value if you put the money into it and go about it the right way, right? So let's get into some of that. Some people look at those properties, the ones that you guys take on, and like they're scared of it. They don't want to do that. Maybe it's too much work. Maybe you were talking about that, Victor. It's a lot of work. Why do you guys like it so much? And then how do you go about that? I mean, how do you get the crews? And it's hard to find good help. And how do you turn these units? And if the property is 50% vacant, maybe it's because nobody wants to live there. How do you get people to want to live there?
That's true. Well, first off, buy properties in good locations where people want to live. Don't buy a property in a terrible
So they want to live
location.
in the location, just not that exact property until you guys get a hold of it.
Right. Yeah. And that's the key factor. Location is key.
Yep.
And just kind of property presentation itself. Like, is there desirability for this product? Is it going to provide value in the community? Is it located, near schools, highways, employment? And, we look at the asset itself and the assets that we're looking at that are in distressed conditions, saying, what is our spin on this one? Like, what do we do? What can we do with our system, with our teams, how we've done it before, that we can add the value? Because sometimes everybody has a different recipe that they use and different ways of going about it. And we try to focus on efficiency, and we try to focus on value. We try to focus on presentation from the renovation side. And then we try to bring in, like we said, the quality tenants that are meeting our strict criteria for renting and finding solutions for them, that's kind of how we look at it when it comes to these products. A lot of people, not a lot of people, but majority of the larger groups or syndicators are shied away from that now recently, because most of them are not boots on the ground. They don't have teams on the ground. They don't know block by block, street by street. And so we have teams in place for that. And so we kind of utilize our strengths. We try to focus on the one thing that we do well at. And we've been through enough burnt down units, vacant units, down to the stud units, overdosed, people overdosing the units, things like that. Or if you've been through that, and we've been through healthcare, by the way. Right. I tell everybody, my hand doesn't shake anymore because I've been through enough that I understand that, like, we can find solutions for a lot of these problems. You just have to be smart. You have to find the, different exits that you can take. And you just have to go with certainty, clarity, and confidence at what you do.
Yeah. I like that. Like you said, you got to find your flavor and what you guys are going to be able to do to it that maybe other people don't see. Can you give us an example? I know you guys recently turned around a 63 unit. I think it really in under a year. What's some of, what is your guys' secret sauce? Like, what is your flavor that you added to that property? Tell us about maybe a few things that you did to add value to that 63 unit.
I love this property. This was
Mhm.
just such a fun project to do. It's in walking distance to the ocean front, so you just can't
Oh,
beat it.
wow. Yeah.
But this was the 50% vacant property.
Wow.
And it had been just a long-term owner operator. We found this one off market and he had let it go.
Yeah.
So we just instantly knew what we could do for this place. It needed work from deferred maintenance, and it needed a facelift and rebranding.
Mhm.
So this property is in the heart of the arts district,
Wow.
where we live.
Yeah.
And so we really leaned into that and brought
Oh,
in some of
cool.
those bright colors. We brought an artist in to do a mural
Oh, man.
and just kind of revitalize this property from this run down, kind of tired community to this young, vibrant community full of 20, 30-year-olds, working professionals who wanted to be in the heart of everything.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that you leaned into that and had it. So like on one end of the building or something, did you have an artist paint something?
Yeah, we commissioned a great artist, and we
Cool.
actually work with the city on that. Who
Man, that's
who
awesome.
painted a wonderful mural on our building side because we wanted to create a sense of community and
Yeah.
inspiration and motivation for our tenants. And so when we're able to collaborate with the city and the arts district, and we're able to bring that large mural there, rebranding, changing the name of the place, giving it a new flavor, a new sense of general freshness to the place, and obviously the
Right.
interior renovations were done, and we added laundry space. We added great parking now, and we added we're adding outdoor amenity space for people to hang out and spend time at.
Oh,
Like
wow. Yeah.
started putting energy and dedicated efforts on thinking about who we wanted to live there, and we started getting these renovations and projects done. They just showed up because they just saw that the owners had pride of ownership now,
Yep.
and that they were
Yep.
focusing on revitalizing and
Oh,
making
yeah.
this place to live at. Say, hey, I live at that building now. That's a cool building.
Yep.
So that's what we kind of decided to do, and it's worked out.
Oh, I'm sure. I bet you guys can really tell when you look at reviews on Google or apartments.com. I'll see it with buildings that you can tell, and the renters will say that like, hey, ever since new management came in, you can tell a difference. And a lot of times it's like, they're actually answering maintenance calls now, or they're
Right.
cleaning up, we've got laundry now, we've got extra space. So you can see that it makes such a big difference. And it's a win-win. I'm sure the city was thrilled that you guys did that. It's probably been an eyesore for them, something that nobody was happy about or proud of, and now it's something everybody's proud of. The one thing, just want to hit on real quick, that we've come into, the only people this is not for maybe are the people that are living there that are used to kind of the old way, and they're not some of the people you want to have live there. So a little bit on like what's that process like, because I've always said, unfortunately, if we're trying to transition a C-class property to a B-class property, for the most part, the C-class residents are going to end up moving on. Is that something you guys have dealt with?
Yes, that was a big hurdle, especially dealing with just the stigma of the old property.
Yeah.
That it was known for drugs, it was known for crime,
Okay.
it was known as a place that you don't want to be around at night. So that was a huge transition of turning over that community so that people started recognizing that it was a safe place to be.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it really just took time.
Sure.
What we
Yep.
did was we put out specials to first responders to get people in there,
Oh, good.
police,
Okay.
Right.
firefighters,
Neat.
so that first of all we had a solid resident base, and that really got us off the ground. But the whole transition, it was hard.
And really, we
Yeah.
found solutions for everybody. It's not that
Yeah.
everybody just went
Yeah.
on the street. We
Yeah.
contacted other properties in the area. We contacted other groups and associations that
Oh,
had
good.
assistance
Yeah.
for folks. Like we didn't like it just wasn't that didn't want to be known for that. We want to change over a community, and obviously everybody who wanted to stay stayed. We didn't
Yeah.
tell everybody to leave. We just
Sure.
said, hey, we're going to be investing a lot of time, energy, and effort to change this community, and you can be a part of it if you want. And for those who stay, they love it. They know
Oh,
it.
I'm
They've
sure.
seen it from where it
Yeah.
was to where it is now. And everybody's excited about what we've done. We've had response from the mayor, from the district groups and things like that, and from the arts district. So everybody feels positive about the changes being made.
Yeah, we've also been working with local groups like the women's shelter and other local programs to house some of those residents to give back to the community. So we feel really positive about that. And we've been working with Section 8 to get a lot of those residents who were there previously, who are good people, to be able to get them leased up into the new renovated unit. So I think we're
That's
overall
awesome.
improving people's lives.
Yeah, congrats on that project. That just sounds really cool. I mean, I want to come check it out in the mural. I'm
Yeah.
like thinking of our properties, like which one might that work on ours? That's just such a neat idea what you guys have done to like, kind of fit into the community, but also like just really improve the community. That's really awesome. Hey, Three Full listeners, just want to take a quick break from the show to introduce you to our sponsor, Pure Property Solutions. They specialize in CapEx projects for multifamily and commercial properties in the tri-state area. They handle painting, carpentry, roofing, windows, and more. The Pure Property Solutions team prides itself on quality work for a fair price with excellent customer service. They are adept at keeping a good relationship with residents at the job site and are always willing to work toward a creative solution while keeping finances in mind. I can speak to this firsthand. We've worked with Pure Property Solutions on a big project we had that they put in all new windows for us, all new decks, did some roof work for us, and we just had a great experience. They deliver quality product. They have good craftsmanship, good communication. And to be honest with you, like not everything went perfectly, but when things didn't go perfectly, they returned our call, they fixed it, they got out, they heard us, and they made it right. And that's what you want. Check them out. If you've got a big CapEx project here in the tri-state area, check out Pure Property Solutions. The link will be in the show notes. Now, back to the show. I always like to ask, as we kind of wrap it up here, I like to ask my guests, what do you think is a key ingredient for being a successful real estate investor? And maybe for you guys, different flavor on that question, but like for being a successful value add real estate investor, what's that key ingredient?
I think one of the key ingredients in real estate investing is just knowing your why, knowing your end goal. If you have that end goal in mind, then every kind of move or decision you make will be laser focused on that end goal, and you're much less likely to get distracted by shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And I think if you know your destination, then the one key factor that when I speak to most about, it's like, you need to take action. But not only do you need to take action, but a lot of the step that everybody always misses is you need to set the deadlines and stay consistently chopping that down, right?
Yeah.
Everybody talks about what their wishes and goals are, but nobody stays with consistent, actionable steps with deadlines to focus on achieving their success, right? There's no secret sauce to it. You just have to have a general destination that you're wanting to achieve, and you need to just chop the successful tree down inch by inch, piece by piece, consistently daily, and that's where most generally people fail with those beliefs.
Yeah, I agree, guys. And just thinking about value add and how long that takes. I mean, you don't come in a few months. I mean, you might have some residents you want to get out, and they just signed a year lease. So, they're in there for a year, so it's not going to happen quick. But if you know your why. And then, like you said, Victor, you know the steps and you keep doing it and you set a deadline, you're going to be able to stick it out. That's what I think is different. You're in it for the long haul, and you're going to get there if you stick with it. And if you know your why, it allows you to stick with it. So it's great stuff. Guys, I know, obviously you guys got to a point, in your lives, but in your careers as doctors, and you said, life is not about, working 80 to 100 hours a week. It's not about, how much can we work. We want our time freedom. So what are you doing now? What would you say is a key ingredient for you guys to, while you're pursuing success in real estate investing, making sure that you're maintaining your priorities, making sure that you're having success as a husband, as a wife, as a family, if faith is important to you? How are you, making sure you're having success in the areas that, frankly matter more than real estate?
That's a great question, because when you're a really passionate real estate investor, you could do it 24/7.
Yeah.
So what we found is we really like to work our schedule into time blocks, and we put in onto our schedule what we call gold time first. So gold time is time with family, time for exercise, time for our friends, time for faith. And we block out those times and we don't overbook them. So everything in real estate gets scheduled around the important stuff and not the other way around.
Right. Yeah. And we have these sections of our days that we focus on, and it's our mindset, it's our spirituality, it's our health, it's our family, and it's our legacy. And our entire days are built around those kind of focused energies. And that's how we kind of generally go about our daily lives. And our gold time is a time that is priceless to us and can't be sucked away by other activities. And we just stay consistent with that behavior. Just like I said, we just stay consistent with it on a daily basis. And that's how it's kind of prioritized in our lives.
Yeah, that's awesome, guys. I love it. Even the name gold time, like, just sets it above everything else, because that is the most important. It's got to come first. But if you're not intentional about it, if you just wake up, it's like, what do they say, that the things that are like urgent, like rule your day, the tyranny of the urgent or something like that, because your business kind of feels like it needs done now. And that contractor, that just left you a message, he needs to know right now what needs to be done about this. And maybe, Victor, maybe Leigh can kind of wait. Like, maybe if she doesn't get much of your time today, it'll be okay. Right. But that contractor really needs to know, and we've got to take care of this eviction. And, you can become beholden to that. But, for you guys, like, if you set that gold time first, that goes in first. That's how it's got to be. You've got to be intentional about it. Right. The way you said, Leigh, I mean, I chuckle because I was just thinking that the other day, that, with a full-time job, with being a doctor, I was a physical therapist, and like, when I was done being a physical therapist for the day, I was done. I do it, right. Yeah. With real estate, I could do it whenever which is amazing because it's flexible. So anytime I need to not be doing it, because we've got that gold time, but I was doing it last night, and till 10 o'clock, and I would never do physical therapy till 10 o'clock at night. No one would let me do physical therapy on them at 10 o'clock at night. So you have to be careful. So it's so important. Like you said, to put that gold time, do that first, have that in there. So thank you for that. That's really, really wise advice. I hope people take that and do that. Well, this has been great, guys. I know you guys have a really good thing going. You've got so much momentum, kind of helping others along. I know you're active on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. We'll throw all those in the show notes. And then you guys there at the website, 258cap.com, 258cap.com. That's where we should send people to learn more about you.
Yes. Yeah. 258cap.com. Yeah. Anywhere on social media. We just put out a lot of educational content, motivational content, anything that we can help motivate and inspire others.
That's great. That's great. But hey, before I let you guys go, I always like to ask my guests, how might my listeners and I be praying for you in the coming weeks?
That's a great question. I just, I would say pray for us to continue, loving ourselves, loving our family, loving our neighbors, continue with, helping us show gratitude and helping us show kindness to others around us.
Absolutely. Victor, really, really well said. We'd be happy to pray for that for you guys. Well, thanks so much, guys. This has been really helpful. Value add is a term that's used a lot. I think sometimes maybe too much. And true value add is what you guys are doing when you're, there's high vacancy, that, you're really trying to reposition a property, not just increase rent. Because rent's going up because of inflation or whatever. That's true value add, and it takes some skills, it takes some hard work, it takes some persistence, and overcoming some real struggles, because it's difficult. But that's why there's value there for the investors, right? I mean, that's why we love it, because you can really add value to the residents, you can add value to the investors, and it's great. I love doing it too. So thanks for going through that with us, guys. It's been really helpful. I appreciate you guys coming on the show today.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you for joining us for another great episode. I hope you'll take action on what you've learned today. If you enjoyed today's show, please consider leaving Leigh a 5-star rating and review. And check him out on threefoldrei.com. Until next time, 1 Timothy 6:17.